You don't need no coffee in the morning when the Minnesota Vikings just pull a win out of their butt and move to 2-0 in the division, leading the NFC North. But we have the top 10 storylines surrounding the Minnesota Vikings, and we determine if they're legit or an overreaction. First storyline is going to be the fluke win over the Lions. Now, every team has some luck, and you could say that's fluky, you could say that's not, you could say that the Lions lost with some of Dan Campbell's decisions down at the end of the game, whether it's calling that timeout, whether it's deciding to kick a field goal where 3 versus 6 doesn't really matter, versus trying to punt or just going for it, whatever. But I think that's an overreaction because, I mean, how many times have the Vikings given a game away? Do the opposing fan bases say that they got lucky? You know, a win is a win is a win. And all the negative Vikings fans last season were like, oh, you are what your record says you are. Well, you are what your record says you are. Your Vikings are 2-1. So go on about it. Now, fourth quarter, defense really stepped up. The offense was clutch at times, but we need to see that more consistently throughout the game because for the first quarter and the third quarter, it was a no call, no show for the offense and the defense. We need to iron some of that out. But I like the way that the Vikings reacted to adversity, even though the adversity was a making of their own. Next up, storyline number 2. Madison can replace Dalvin. Kinda. All right, so Dalvin Cook pre-diagnosed with another separated shoulder on his left side, which he separated last season. He played against the Steelers, ran for 205 and 2 touchdowns with a brace on. Now he's going to try and do that against the Saints in all likelihood, and I think that he will play some role. But Alexander Madison, respect. You know, we've said that Alexander Madison is a top 15 running back in this league. If you put Madison on the Cardinals, he'd be fantastic. That's why when he hits free agency next year, he's going to get paid, relatively so, in terms of running back dollars, because he can do a little bit of it all. Like, he has some decent burst for a running back his size, has some good power, is a competent pass blocker, except for Mike Hughes, as well as he's a pretty solid receiver as well. Plus, let's not forget, Madison has 2 dose 100-yard rushing games when replacing Dalvin Cook in the starting lineup. Now, both of them are against Seattle, which is kind of funny. But if Madison does have to play a larger role, and maybe they put Dalvin on a pitch count with that shoulder, I think that the Vikings offense doesn't necessarily skip a beat. But you could say he doesn't have that home run ability that Dalvin does, but then again, not many running backs in the league do. Next up, number 3. Justin Jefferson is solved. So that is obviously an overreaction. Took out Madison too. Overreaction. So 182 is a career high and 2 touchdowns against the greasy, grimy Green Bay Packers. And thinking, oh, here we go. Doing that against Jaire Alexander and company. Joe Barry and the Packers defense is supposed to be damn legit. But then 6 for 48 in Philly. Darius big play Slay. Not so much. And then you're thinking, okay, no Darius Slay. We're playing Slay's former team, the Lions. Jeff Okudah is fine, but he's no Darius Slay. But the Lions, they doubled, they tripled, they bracketed, they did whatever with Jefferson. 3 catches for 14 yards on 6 targets, which ain't good. That is not enough. Where Jefferson, if he's going to be a wide receiver 1 in this league, he's got to be able to defeat double teams. He's got to be able to defeat cornerback ones. And over the last 2 weeks, we just haven't really seen it. Where both games he's combined for 62 yards receiving. That's not enough, man. And Kevin O'Connell has said that that's not enough. That's on him. So he needs to scheme Jefferson open more and more. And Jefferson just needs to win. And that's it. Where heavy is the head that wears the crown, man, because you're going to get everyone's best shot every single week. You are public enemy number 1 for every single defensive coordinator, so he's going to have to get through it, man. I do love that the first person to come up and celebrate with KJ Osborne with that game-winning touchdown was Justin Jefferson, so there's no animosity there. Winning is winning is winning, and Jefferson is going to get his, but he has to overcome when other teams give their best shot. Next up, storyline number 4. KJ Osborne is underutilized. Legit. Absolutely legit, man. 5 for 73 and a touchdown clutch. The entire final drive was all him. And you saw it. You know, the game winner, calling game in overtime against Carolina last season. Then this one against Detroit. And he only had 5 targets through the first 2 games, which is just ridiculous. He had 8 this game, but that was really more Cousins looking elsewhere besides Justin Jefferson. And KJ, we have said that KJ has the opportunity to be a 1,000-yard receiver, and I truly believe that. I think that he can be a very solid wide receiver too, as Adam Thielen, who we'll get to here in a sec, as the sun begins to set on his career. But KJ is legit, man. KJ's fantastic. It's clear that he has a trust of Kirk Cousins. He has this knack of getting open on third down and in key spots, and I just love me some KJ Osborne. So happy for him, the way that he got it done against Detroit. Next up, storyline number 5. Speaking of which, Adam Thielen isn't washed. That's legit. So a vintage game from Adam Thielen, taking it back, partying like it's 2017 where he was second team All-Pro. 6 catches for 61 yards and a touchdown. Drawing penalties all over the place on OVERREACTION. Now, should have been a penalty on 4th and 8, but it is what it is. You got to play better than the ref's ref, and the Vikings eventually did. So there you go. But as Jefferson was being blanketed and doubled and tripled, KJ and Thielen really stepped up when it mattered. Now, we need to see more consistency out of the receivers and Kirk, and it is part and parcel, because how many times did the offensive line give Cousins a clean pocket, and Cousins, back foot, stepped up, was ready to rock and roll, but no one was open. So these guys have to win their one-on-one spots. Jefferson has to win 2-on-1s, and just sort of is what it is. Next up, storyline number 6. Kirk Cousins is clutch. Gotta say that one's legit. Now, that one may be recency bias, but 56 yards on a touchdown on the final drive, and you saw that the Lions were sitting in the curls and the flats. They were looking to take away the Vikings trying to get into field goal range, but Kevin O'Connell and Kirk Cousins like, no, F you. F that. We're going for the end zone. That's why KJ got so wide open on that corner route. So it was beautiful, man. He made the throws when he needed to. Now, you could say, yes, that Kirk, second half against the Eagles, not so much, and bad pressing Kirk, whatever. And then the inconsistency throughout the game, especially first and third quarter, where just like 3 and out, missed throws, missed plays, missed reads, all of that stuff. They need to iron that out, because Kirk, we saw what Kirk can do in this Kevin O'Connell offense against a very good defense against the Packers week 1. But we haven't seen that since. Like, you could say maybe the second and fourth quarters of the Lions game, but that's really about it. That's about it, man. Next up, storyline number 7, overrated or legit, or overreaction or legit. Lewisine is a bust. That one's an overreaction. So, first round pick, fully understand that, but behind the 8 ball with that knee injury. Also, Cameron Beasley, Cam Bynum stepped up playing some damn good football. Harrison Smith, of course, is Harrison Smith. Now, the thing that people are starting to say, well, what about Lewisine? Is after Harrison Smith missed a game with a concussion, Josh Metellus, the third-year veteran and backup and special teamer, he was put into the starting lineup. Now, it was a correct decision. So Josh Metellus respect, was in a no-win situation. He had to replace Harrison Smith, and he's playing ahead of Lewisine, the first-round pick, who everyone wants to see. And Metellus played great. 11 tackles, 2 passes broken up, including a big third down, as well as interception ending the game. So respect to Josh Metellus. Now, Lewisine, I don't think that he is a bust. I mean, it's obviously only 3 games. They're working him back in. He's coming off of a knee injury that he tweaked up twice. So playing some special teams, eventually working his way into the starting lineup, I think that's going to be his path. And just because he's not in the lineup right now, it's not it. Because remember, draft picks, you got to think more crock pots as opposed to microwave. You don't get what you want right away. Next up, number 8, the pass rush is garbage. It's pretty legit. So they sacked Jared Goff 0, goose egg, D'Angelo Russell times, and once PFF comes out with the numbers, I bet he would have only been pressured 5 or 6 times, maybe. But what's crazy is that you're at home. You're against Jared Goff, who's not known for his mobility or his pocket awareness. Yeah, yes, the Lions have a fantastic offensive line with great tackles with Decker and Penei Sewell, plus Frank Ragnow, the pride of Chanhassen, is one of the best young centers in the game, but they were down 2 starting guards, and you still couldn't do it. And there's too much talent for this little of consistent pass rush, because the Vikings, when they try to get home with 4 and sit back with 7, it works when you can get some heat on the quarterback. But once they're being just neutralized and neutered and just inert, you got to think of something else. And Ed Dontel, we'll get to Ed Dontel in a sec, but you have Daniil, you have Zadarius, you have DJ Wanham, and it's just ridiculous that you're not getting a more consistent pass rush, especially at home. Come on, man. Next up, storyline number 9. Donatel's defense is fine. That's definitely an overreaction. Something stinks in Denmark. Absolutely. Yes, respect. They've held all 3 of the teams scoreless so far this season in the fourth quarter, and got some big stops down the stretch against the Lions, but too much yardage throughout games, giving up too many points. You saw it in Philly. You saw it in the Detroit game. There's just there's just no spark. Like, there's no heat, there's no nothing, and you're making it very difficult on the cornerbacks. We've criticized Patrick Peterson, we've criticized Cameron Tiny-Dancer, we've criticized Sean Sullivan, because you can only cover for so long. And if the quarterback is always on time, he's not being moved off the spot, not forced into bad decisions, I mean, this isn't going to work. So I do think that Donatel has to stop playing 8, 9, 10 yards off of the wide receivers. I think that he does have to start blitzing more as opposed to, the big 3rd and 8 against the Lions. They only rushed 3. Are you kidding me? You know when you rush 3 on a Hail Mary, and maybe not even then. So it's frustrating, man, because the secondary is getting no favors from Donatel. They're getting picked apart, and they make Jared Goff look like Joe frickin' Montana back there. Any quarterback with that amount of time, when you're constantly rushing 4 against 5, 4 against 6, and you're not winning, he's going to be able to pick you apart in the secondary. So they got to fix something. Donatel's got to get more aggressive. And, hey, stop being so pig-headed about your scheme. Put your players in positions to make plays and let them play. Simplify things, have them play fast, and have them get after it. Lastly, storyline number 10. Vikings are the best team in the NFC North. So after we just shredded Donatel's defense, just like Jared Goff did, legit. So the greasy grimy Green Bay Packers, congratulations for beating the Bears at home in prime time. But they struggled on the road against the Bucks. Bucks are no prize pig either, by the way. And the Bears are nothing. The Lions are feisty, except they're not there yet. Plus, the Vikings are 1-up on the Packers. They're 1-up on the Lions, 2-0 in the division. So you have to say right now, yes, the Vikings are the team to beat in the NFC North. So now they go to London, take care of things against the Saints, come back home, take care of things against the Bears, and then, South Beach. South Beach against the Dolphins, week 6. Go, man. But that's it. Your thoughts are our thoughts. Monday morning Vikes, top 10 Viking storylines, and we determine if they're overreaction or legit. What are your thoughts on our thoughts? Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.